Oh man. Oh, the battleships. Oh, and the battleships sink beneath the wave. That was amazing. That was good. I think
Good. That moved me.
It did.
I feel moved.
It did. And I think that this is exactly what people want from a podcast, silently imagining the sound effects that could be there if anyone involved in this operation knew how rights worked. Welcome to the new and improved This Is Jen podcast. We have Shady Ray producing.
Hello.
You will hear her in the room with me. We've got Hallie Lord behind the scenes. It's just the whole crew. We're getting it done.
Yes,
the whole crew. Here's the biggest difference. This podcast, by demand, by command from you guys, it is now on YouTube. Everyone is watching their podcasts on YouTube. Maybe not all the time, but people want that option. So it is now a podcast that is on YouTube. You can look it up. And won't that be surprising for you? When I'm talking about launching this whole YouTube thing, and you will see that I have 10 subscribers.
11?
And the 11, well, yeah, Shady's going to subscribe. And there's nothing on the YouTube page. And that was not actually the plan. We had big plans for the podcast relaunch. First of all, I was going to have other content on YouTube, and it's actually filmed, but it's stuck in production. It's this kind of gift I'm going to give to you guys. It's something I was thinking about selling it. I kind of had a deal to sell it, and I'm just going to put it on YouTube for you guys. So I was going to have launched the YouTube channel and have more than 11 subscribers. but it's Seth Godin has a phrase where he says, just ship, meaning get it out there, get it done. I had to just ship. Seth Godin has a phrase where he says, just ship. And what that means is stop caring. Stop having attention to detail. Stop being like, but I want to have a nice YouTube channel and I don't want to be super lame and put things up on a page that doesn't exist. Actually, as I'm filming this, the YouTube page doesn't exist. I'm going to create it as soon as I'm done. And that was not the plan. The other thing that was part of the plan is I was finally going to have a fancy intro. This podcast has been known for not having intros. And I would see people recommending it, and they're so kind. You're all so kind. I would see people recommending it, and they'd be like, you'll love This Is Jen, but you have to understand you're not missing anything. Like the file wasn't broken or anything. She just starts and there's no intro. And people were having to tell their friends, like, it will sound like the file was damaged and we're starting in the middle of the podcast. But no, it's just she's weird and that's her thing. So I was going to have an intro. Kind of like with having a real YouTube channel. That's life. When you have 6 kids and a million things going on, it didn't work out. So Shady, perhaps we could...
Scat?
Wait, is that like... I thought that's like when you lose control of your balance.
No.
That is how I
felt. Not quite.
That is how I felt, to be honest. That's not what scat... I think scat... Okay, we'll look that up. Okay. So scat is the bebop.
Yeah, bebop, bebop. You can even do horns and be like... Wah, 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 wah.
Okay, so wait. Okay, you bebop. And I'll do. I'm from radio. I have an announcer voice. Okay, go scat. That sounds so weird. Welcome to This Is Jen. I hope that my 11 YouTube subscribers really enjoy this. We will have quality content on today's show. Keep it going, Shay. Quality content on today's show. A celebrity unfollowed me. And breaking news, just before we went on the air, so to speak, I found out a second celebrity unfollowed me. That and more today on This Is Jen. Thank you. That was, you know what? I had this whole film company, Spirit Juice, they're so good. I had them set to do an intro, but I think when they see that, they'll be like, we are creatively stuck. Because you know how when you...
Did you shut them down?
Yeah, shout out to Spirit Juice. Those guys are so good. But they will, they'll hear that and they'll be like, it's like when you see someone, Shady, you are a musician, in addition to like doing everything else in my life, as well as producing this podcast. And you know, as a musician, as a creative, that when you encounter someone who their talent level is so through the roof and it's like nothing you've ever seen before, it's hard to go write songs.
You just want to stop.
Right. And that's what's going to happen with Spirit Juice working on my intro. They're going to be like, we can't scat. That's so weak.
They don't even know.
We give up. They'll be shouting at each other, scat. Okay. I feel like this is a really good start. I feel like we are starting strong in the new form.
I like it.
Let's see if I can lose all of my subscribers. Like I had 11. I was like, you can only go up from 11 YouTube subscribers. I think we'll dip. No, I think we're like going down to 2.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to come back. People they'll get on board and it will come back. Okay, also, a little behind the scenes. With the YouTube version, again, if you listen on audio, you're not missing anything at all. But you can look up the YouTube version if you want. And do leave a comment, because the YouTube algorithm is always trying to figure out who is legit and who is a Russian bot. And at this point in my career, I could be mistaken for a Russian bot, frankly, on a lot of levels. Like with what I've been producing lately, I think Instagram is about to shut me down. I could be mistaken for a Russian bot. But if you get comments, then YouTube says, oh, okay, so this is legit, and we should actually show this to people who have subscribed to this channel. And let me just tell you, with the level that my YouTube page is at right now, leaving a comment on YouTube is better than having my personal cell phone number. And in fact, if you are a friend of mine, if you have my cell phone number and I have not replied to a text, as I am wont to do, I'm very bad at keeping up with that. Honestly, the best way to get in touch with me is to leave a comment on my YouTube channel, because with my 11 subscribers, I don't think I will have a flood of thousands that I have to wade through. I've got Shady on, I've got my best men on this, that let's all wade through these comments. That's not going to really be the issue, but I will be looking at them. So it's like having my personal number, leaving a comment on YouTube right now. So do that so that we can just clear up the confusion on all of my channels that I'm not a Russian bot. And before we get to this, the celebrity unfollowing me and what we can all learn from how I have worked through that, and what you will be learning is seeing how poorly I worked through that. I'm going to embarrass my entire lineage, my family, by just how utterly immature I have been in my reaction to this. So before we get to that, I do have to say I am a bit tired, because my children kept me up last night. 2 of them, who shall remain nameless, they kept me up last night because they kept talking. And I kept having to get up and open the door and go out. We have a very small house. There are 8 of us in a 1,900 square foot house, and all of the bedrooms are upstairs. So it's like we are all stuffed into a wall locker together. It feels that way sometimes. So if anyone is even breathing too loudly, it disturbs the peace in our household. So I kept having to get up and tell my kids to be quiet. And I don't like to move under any circumstances. I'm the kind of person, I once saw a sci-fi movie where a guy, like an evil scientist, took away his body and he was just a brain that floated in a jar. And I was like, that's the life. Some people have all the luck. I have no use for like movement, like move your body, like no. So to have to get out of bed and deal with these kids, it did not bring me peace. It destroyed my peace. And you know what I was thinking? And this is not a joke. This is not a bit. I want some innovator to actually invent this. And I just can't emphasize enough how serious I am about this. I want someone to invent, and Shady will affirm, she will affirm that this is a genius idea. I want someone to invent a kind of red light, green light system that you can control from an app, and you put it in your kids' rooms or somewhere where all the kids can see it, or maybe multiple ones, one for each room, and it lets the kids know what the parents' current anger level is with what they are doing. And so I was just thinking, it would have been on green. and then I hear them talking, but I don't have to get up. I pull up my app and I'm like, move it to yellow because I've already told you guys to be quiet. And then we move it up to orange and to red. And like if we get to red, just preemptively call 911. Mom is losing her mind. It's not good. That could have saved
That's
me.
genius.
It is. I'm a visionary. No one understands that my amazing ingenuity, inventiveness, whatever it is, I have it all because I come up with ideas like this. And I would buy that. This is not a humorous bit. I would install it in my kid's wall, and it would be, I'd love it. I'd want them to be bad. I'd want them to talk at night so that I could like get out my app and have this show.
You went green to red real quick.
Yeah, that's right. And again, I don't have to move. It's discipline without movement.
And red just means go to your room.
Right. Yeah. It's just, well, they were already in their room, but red means I'm about to come out of my room.
You're not gonna like it.
It's not going to be good. And I'm a big believer in, I have 6 kids, so I know everything about parenting. We have it on. Shady knows my house very well, so she's trying not to laugh. We have parenting on lock. I am a big believer in shock and awe parenting. Here's what I mean by this. I am not super consistent about discipline. I have read all the books about if you say something, you have to mean it. If I say, put away those toys, and they're not put away, there will be consequences. I'm all talk. I am constantly, because I just, you get tired. I had 6 babies in 8 years. I couldn't be consistent with discipline. It was like, I'm keeping everyone alive each day. That's where the bar is. I cannot discipline these kids. And so my kids learned that 9 times out of 10, I did not mean what I said. If I said, if you don't stop throwing that food, it's going to be trouble for you. 9 times out of 10, I was just going to stare at my phone and do nothing about that situation. But the 1 time out of 10 that I did deal with it, shock and awe. It would be memorable. It would be bizarre. It would be dramatic. Like now you have to watch the worst YouTube channel for 3 hours. Like I'm creative with my discipline. And so that works for me. And with my shock and awe parenting philosophy, I think my kids would have genuine fear if we ever got up to the red level on this light that I so desperately need in my life. Let's get to the news of the day. Have you ever had this happen? So first of all, it's always cool when someone who is really well known follows you. The problem is that now you live the entire rest of your existence in a fragile state where you know that the only thing keeping you sane and with any shred of self-esteem left is this person's continued follow. It's almost like you almost wish they'd never followed you in the first place because now it's like I will be a shattered shell of a human being if they unfollow me.
Tragic.
Am I not supposed to say that out loud? Okay, no one else does that. Okay, I'm the only one.
No, it's painful.
I'm the only one.
It's tragic.
The only one who does that. Sure. Rachel Hollis used to follow me. And that is no longer the case. And I think it happened recently. I stopped using those apps that tell you who unfollows you because they were very bad for my mental health and for my relationships with people I know in real life. I am working on my tendency to interpret Instagram unfollows as a declaration of war. But I'm on a journey, and I'm not there yet with being able to just say, like, hey, sometimes people just want different kinds of content. I'm not there in my journey. So I don't have any of those apps anymore. But I forget, someone publicly was talking about her publicly unfollowing some celebrity. And so I was like, oh, is it true? Oh, this poor schmo. Did she unfollow him? Couldn't be. And so I pulled up who she still follows, and I'm not on there anymore. And Rach and I were really good friends in my head. I mean, granted, like we never texted or, hung out but that was just, we were going to be. I feel like our friendship was about to go to the next level. Our books came out at the same time, and her book sold 2 million copies. Mine didn't. And, and I felt like that gave us a lot in common. Like, well, we both had books. You know what? We were on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list together. I was right under her. And it, I didn't even want the New York Times bestseller list. Who wants to be on the New York Times bestseller list when you can be on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list? I prefer it, really. I'm glad I never hit that list. It was a goal, really. That only Wall Street Journal. That it was in my vision board for when my book came out. So Rachel Hollis is, of course, for those of you who don't know, she is the author of Girl, Wash Your Face, Girl, Stop Apologizing, and then she has the new one coming out that's getting a lot of buzz, Girl, Unfollow Jen on Instagram. We're all looking forward to that title. And here's the thing, so there's been a big backlash against her. It's easy to Google, like I'm not saying anything people don't know. People accuse her of toxic positivity. And the reason I didn't deserve the unfollow is because I've always said I am part of the backlash against the backlash of Rachel Hollis. I don't think she is doing toxic positivity. Because I think that when people put themselves out there online, we are all called, I do believe God has a plan for all of this. I think that we're all called to different missions. Like one person might be called to talk about home decoration, and another person might be called to post ridiculous nonsense like me, and another person might do medical info. But then there's also a calling of how vulnerable you are supposed to be. And some people, their lives are such a train wreck and they're so not on top of things that they don't have a choice. You just have to be vulnerable because even if you tried to lie, it wouldn't work. That's me. But then I have other friends who they are on social media and they do show a more idealized version of life. Their house is always clean. They talk about how blessed they are, that little Timmy did the dishes this morning while little Mary read the prayers in Latin. I'm so proud of our 3-year-old. Like, and they do that. But that's their mission. You've seen that stuff. That's their mission. And so I have always said, like, look, that is her mission, to be super positive, to be better than the rest of us so that we have something to aspire to. And I saw Rach and I as a team. And then I'll be a train wreck. I'll be on Instagram stories talking about how I slept till noon on a Monday, and then you can feel superior to me. And we tag team. We're a team. Rachel? Rach. Right. Because again, like I'm a big believer that sometimes you were meant to be really good friends with someone, and it's only just crazy circumstances that have prevented that from happening. And that's why, like, when I stalk people, when I find some celebrity, especially local people, and I find their home address and I drive by their house, like, it's not in a weird way. It's just that I know, I'm not being weird. It's just that I know that we're supposed to be friends, and I am trying to remove the barrier to that situation.
You're just helping the universe out a little bit.
Thank you. Exactly. I'm Catholic. Shady's not Catholic. I'm Catholic. I'm helping God out.
There you go.
Because he wants us to be friends.
He does.
And so I think if I ever see one of these people, when I'm driving slowly by their house, like local celebrities, I think I'll roll down my window and just say, God means for us to be friends.
He told me.
Yeah. And that wouldn't be weird. I'm just delivering a message. So Rach and I were meant to be friends. So I have a take on all of this, but I need you to know it gets worse. It gets worse. So, I'm new to YouTube. I just looked in the wrong place. I'm trying to look at you. It gets worse. How's that? Okay. So we need to have a roundtable discussion about this. I might do an online conference where you guys can pay, because the technology is expensive, so I'd have to sell tickets, and you guys can pay to help me figure out why these people are unfollowing me. Because let me tell you, my self-esteem is not in a good place right now. I'm a fragile person because of this. So I'm in Instagram. I've seen that Rachel Hollis unfollowed me. So then I see another person pops up in my feed, and I'm like, oh, now this is someone whose presence in my life, as in a celebrity public figure way, really, their inspiration cannot be overstated. She is a powerful, intelligent woman who has created products that have transformed my life and made my soul better. And when she followed me on Instagram, I flipped out. I told everyone, and I felt like, finally, I am worthy of life. You know, the whole, like, I said, I'm Catholic. Like, it's our doctrine that God loves each one of us infinitely. Every single person on planet Earth, you are loved infinitely. And, I have the Pope telling me that. And I was like, yeah. But Bobby Brown following me on Instagram, now I feel like I am worthy of life. So yes, it was Bobby Brown. It was the makeup artist, Bobby Brown. Yes, I buried the lead. Bobby Brown. She unfollowed me on Instagram. Yes, I wish you could see the look on Shady's face. Yes.
I might cry.
Right. So first of all, pray for my husband. He was in the room with me when I found this out. And I think he was trying to do that kind of like walking backwards, like, have we cleaned the baseboards lately? I do need to. There's kind of some urgent things happening downstairs that I will have to be checking out. He tried so hard to get out of that conversation. Alas, he was not successful. It demolished my self-image that Bobby Brown unfollowed me. And look, this is how much of a fan I am. So this is my actual purse here. I never go anywhere without Bobby Brown products. And in fact, gentlemen, you can skip ahead. I'm about to talk about really good Bobby Brown products. See, look at obviously this is not an endorsement. You guys know this isn't paid. She just unfollowed me. But I will go through my favorite Bobby Brown products, both as a tip to you because they're great, and also to help you guys understand the visceral pain that this is causing me. But for my gentlemen listeners, go ahead and skip ahead a couple minutes. So this gloss, it's unbelievable. Let me see if I can get the camera. If I really zoom in, let's see. This is what the makeup gloss, look at that. This gloss, it will change your life. It is amazing. It will, let's see. You know what? I'll just put it on right now. I'm wearing bright red lipstick, so I don't know if it will really, if you'll really get what it does here. I think even with this camera this far away, you can see what this gloss does. For those of you who are listening on the audio version, I can just describe this to you. My lips looked sad and matte, and now they look super glossy. So just theater of the mind. Imagine that. So this shade is called, it's high shimmer lip gloss. This shade is called Bellini. And it says, the description on it says, this is the perfect shade that gives that natural glow that you get when you unfollow Jen Fulweiler on Instagram. So I think that's what we're all looking for in cosmetics. All right, here's another favorite Bobbi Brown product. I am bringing this up, one, because people are always asking me for my favorite makeup, but two, so that you guys can better pity me. That's really what this is about, because it proves that I am a Bobbi Brown super fan. So this, for those of you listening audio only, this is it's cylindrical. Would you say, Shady? It's cylindrical.
I would say yes.
It's cylindrical, but it is a base that you use on your face. And this shade, the shade that I use, it doesn't matter. It's the palest. But they say it gives your skin, reading here from the packaging, the kind of smooth feel you get when you have Jen Fulweiler's trash content out of your Instagram feed. So yeah, I think, there was market demand for it.
I needed that look the other night.
Right, exactly. And then finally, the Bobbi Brown, it's not a liquid liner, but it's liner that's all smashed into a little pot. And you use a brush with it to do the liquid liner look. That is what I am wearing right now. Audio only listeners, if you want, you can look that up in the YouTube video, but I do think you'll be okay without it. I think your life can go on without it. You know what we're going to do? Live here on the show, I am going to look up in real time the remaining skeleton crew of celebrities who still follow me on Instagram. And truly, Honestly, I don't know whether they still follow me because I was saving it for this special new relaunched episode of This Is Jen. So we will look up in real time at least three. Okay, I can think of 3 celebrities who still follow me. We will look this up in real time. The first being John Christ. He only follows 378 people. So that's I know
you made it in a pretty
which
narrow.
by the way, Bobby Brown follows almost 3,000. So what kind of a disaster do you have to be if she's like, I follow a measurable percentage of the users of Instagram, but it's worth like pulling up the profile page and hitting the unfollow button. Jen's account is that bad. Okay, so here we go. Moment of truth. Pray for Shady, because like, if John unfollowed me, I'm just shutting this down. That's what it is. This podcast will end in 3 seconds if John unfollowed me. Moment of truth. Oh, okay, he still follows me. Okay, yes. Okay,
good,
we have
good.
verification. All right. Next up, we have Heather McMahon. She is a wildly successful, wildly popular comedian. She has co-hosted the Today Show. And does she still follow me is the question. She obviously she has fine taste, nothing but the finest taste in who she follows on Instagram. We are now pulling up. I really don't know. I haven't checked this recently. Does she still follow me? What do you think, Shady?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Good.
Okay.
Good. All right. Oh, so she follows someone. This is another person who, at least at one point, followed me. Christina P. She is a well-known comedian, has multiple Netflix specials, highly respected comedian. She also follows or followed me. We will see. Moment of truth. Does Christina P. still follow me? Yes. Okay, good.
Oh, good.
So, okay,
She's
so
one
I
of
can
my
continue.
favorites.
I was shutting down my career. That was almost really bad. Shady, I feel like you were not scared enough.
I wasn't.
You
Because
weren't scared enough.
I knew you had it though.
Why would you know? I just had Rachel Hollis and
No,
Bobby Brown
I just
unfollow
knew.
me. Why
I
would you
just
think
knew.
that I have it?
I just knew.
I did not feel like I had it. All right. So what can we learn from this? Jen is not sane. Jen has issues. Jen needs help. Jen needs to go back to her therapist. Yes, absolutely all legitimate takeaways. However, here's what I've been thinking about with these kinds of situations. I realize that it is my duty as a grown woman, as a podcaster, and even I would say as a Catholic, to come on here and lie to you about my reaction to this. I realize that I am supposed to say that I'm a confident woman. What are the new hashtags? Like, I'm a boss babe.
There you go.
I'm a boss babe.
Queen. Hashtag queen.
Hashtag queen. I'm supposed to say all of that. And then also, I mean, I'm spiritually strong. I don't need Rachel Hollis to follow me when I follow Jesus. And that's the only follow that matters. I know I'm supposed to say that.
Amen.
But here's the thing. Shady says amen. Just spiritual profundity here. Here's the thing. I think it's important for mental health, spiritual health, all kind of health. I think it's important that we are honest about where we really are and what our reactions to things really are. You have to have that honesty of where you really are and what your reactions honestly are to things, because you can't deal with them if you don't admit to yourself, hey, I feel like life is not worth living because Bobby Brown followed me. And I was follow number 2,748. And now she follows 2,747 because it was like this, it was a mistake. Associating with Jen was a mistake of unfollow. You need to be honest about what your real reactions are to things, because you can't grow as a person, which certainly I need to do a lot of. You can't grow if you're not being honest about where you're starting. And I think the good motives that we have when we care about things like this, and maybe for some of you, you're smart enough not to play these games in a formal way on social media. But I bet you've all had someone who obviously muted you, on Facebook or who unfriended you on Facebook. I think this is now a normal part of the human experience. And I think the reason it gets to us is because we're designed, we are made to have an impact on others. And that's a great thing. It's a really good thing. We all, on some internal level, say, I want to make the world a better place. I want to be known to other people and know them and impact them in some way. And so when someone who, especially someone who has a high profile or you respect, or maybe someone friended you on Facebook who's just local in your community, but you really admire them, and then they've blocked you, they've unfriended you, it's all over, that impacts your self-esteem because that meant something to you that you could say to yourself, wow, that's cool. Like, a lot of people would like to have an impact on this person who themselves has had a big impact. And wow, like maybe some of the things I'm doing are meaningful, like videoing myself on selfie mode, drinking on the floor of my pantry. I thought it had meaning. I thought it had purpose. I thought it was sharing purpose with other people's lives. And hey, the fact that these big name people with millions of followers follow me, like, wow, maybe I'm living God's mission for my life. Maybe I heard that when God was like, yes, Jen, get that can of mead, drink on the floor of your pantry. Maybe I was having an impact. And I think that's why it bothers us. And this is yet another lesson of very often when you are reacting to something the wrong way, when you are not being as mature as maybe you should be, very often the flip side of that, the flip side of your negative behavior, there's something positive there. So is it negative to walk around obsessively muttering about who has unfollowed you on the gram? Perhaps. I might say it's justified. I feel like my husband would say it's a negative thing. But the positive flip side of it is, in my heart, I really, like you, like a lot of people, I like to feel like, hey, maybe I'm adding some value to the world. And I feel like it is validation of that when someone who has done a lot of good work follows me. So next time you're beating yourself up about something and saying, hey, wow, that's really mature. I'm being lame. I'm being dumb. Say, hey, what is the positive flip side of this that I can see to affirm that maybe I'm not the biggest fool on the face of the planet, and maybe there's something good here, because that gives you something to work with to actually make improvements, which I'm not going to do, by the way, because that's an option to like be a better person and stop being so immature about stuff like this. But I'm actually going to double down on my reaction. And I'll get Rachel Hollis's address, again, not in a weird way, but just so that we can clear this up. Like, I think I'll show up to her house. By the time I'm done with my work day and getting stuff settled with the kids, it would probably be about 10 p.m. before I could get down there. So just showing up at her house at night and just starting kind of a dialogue about why she unfollowed me. Not weird. It's just, I'm a solution-oriented person. So that's my plan. But if you'd like to handle things differently than me, start with finding the positive flip side. Shady, one of the things that people have been asking for is that this podcast has a little bit more interactivity. That, people are like, I don't want to say that it sounds like you are talking to yourself in a closet. But
you're talking to yourself in a closet.
Previously, it kind of sounded like that. So I am bringing in your voices a little bit more. And we have some questions. I'll be totally honest with you guys. These are paraphrased from DMs because I couldn't find the original DMs. So what name should we give this person who wrote in this question?
Angela Barrel.
No. I veto that. Let's do something really exciting, like Winfred. So this is from my follower Winfred. And is that a name? Well, it is. It's a name now. It's an Winfred. Exciting name. Yeah. And maybe read it in a British accent or any accents that you could do to add a touch of class to this program.
Oh, right, Jen. Do you
Wait, that's Australian.
That's all I got.
There's some shrimp on the barbie. Wait, that's not even Australian.
That is actually. Do you think Taylor Swift's new album is bad, or have you seen that you are wrong?
Oh, okay. So actually, I got a lot of DMs about this. Thank you, Winfred. I appreciate you getting in touch. You know what? The theme of this whole podcast is becoming Jen ruins her life with Instagram stories. Like that, this is the common thread here. Maybe I just need to stay off of stories and I wouldn't have problems anymore. So I in that format, I was saying that I think that Taylor Swift's new album was a miss. And I've said, in my time of having a public presence, I have said a lot of controversial things. This is the most backlash I've ever gotten to anything I have ever said. And so I would therefore I want to address this. What I said was, I thought her new album was not the right time. I said at the time, nobody heard this part. I said at the time, I think it's a masterpiece. I really do. I think it's an absolute masterpiece. However, my point was, it's a bit of a depressing album. It's a lot of heartbreak, but not in a fun way. Like, my boyfriend broke up with me, but I'm gonna put on a sassy outfit and dance my problems away. And that's what we need right now. We need to dance our problems away. Who is going to show us how to dance away our angst if not Taylor Swift? And instead she comes in with this album. It's dark and it's reflective and it's like, Taylor, that's your 2021 album. Or no, do it when coronavirus is over and we have an economy again. So this is your 2038 album when it's all over and we're back to normal. Okay, fine. Then be reflective. Fine. And it's like dark and like someone broke up with you and your battleship's sinking and all that. That was my only point. I said it was a masterpiece. I just said it was the wrong timing. But I will say I would be lying to you all if I did not tell you that I listen to it all the time. So I think I have to officially rescind my statement. Evidently, it is the right time. Evidently, it's exactly the right time because I can't get enough of it. And this is where, back when I was on the radio, you guys remember those days? That was fun, having a job with a salary and benefits. Glad I got rid of that. Hitting my mic.
To get rid of that next.
Right. It's symbolic. This is actually my radio mic. I paid for it. I didn't steal it from Sirius XM, but this is my radio mic. Yeah, it's funny that I almost take it out with that statement. Yeah, I'm glad I got rid of my paying job with benefits during a pandemic. Let me be your life coach. This is where, when I had a radio show, I would play a bit of the album so that we could hear it together and reflect on it. My crack team has not yet been able to figure out how rights work for playing music in the podcast and in the YouTube format. And so you know what we're going to do, Shady listeners? We are all going to take a moment to silently imagine what the Taylor Swift album sounds like, because I don't know how the rights work for playing songs. So everybody together, this song, My Tears Ricochet. Let's all imagine that song for a moment, okay? All right. Oh, man. Oh, the battleships. Oh, and the battleships sink beneath the wave. That was amazing. That was good. I think
that moved me.
It did.
I feel moved.
It did. And I think that this is exactly what people want from a podcast, just silently imagining the sound effects that could be there if anyone involved in this operation knew how rights worked. But I have to say, I brought up that question from Winfred, who is she was born in the UK, but she moved to Australia and she hangs around with a lot of Texans, which is why you hear that the flavor of that accent worked in there too. Thank you, Winfred, for your question, and I do officially take back everything I said about the Taylor Swift album.
Thank you, Jen.
I tried. Oh my gosh. Okay. But I don't even know what that accent was. That was like a Hobbit accent.
It just came out.
Wow. Shady, do we have any other questions from only slightly fictionalized fans?
We've got one here from Clyde.
Clyde? Oh, good. Clyde. Yeah, good.
Know, do you really not know how to use an iron?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I did. Yes, I did actually get quite a few messages about this. Another in the theme of I ruined my own life with Instagram stories. I was on Instagram stories talking about the fact that I don't know how to use an iron. And if we could just look for a moment If we could just look at these, what happened here. Now, in my defense, irons are very complicated. So you can see in this video, I don't think you need the audio. You can see in the video that water. I'm literally getting a phone call while I'm trying to do this. This is a real life that someone is actually living. I'm getting a spam phone call while I'm trying to show you guys my stories. Okay. Okay. This is, so I was on stories. You can see that the iron got water everywhere for this. And this is for the green screen background I was using. And, I've never figured out, like, you're supposed to put the water in always, or like, so if you're doing delicate stuff where you don't turn the heat that high, maybe that was my mistake, that you shouldn't put the water in if it's more of a delicate material, because then just laws of thermodynamics, that we all know that at a certain state, liquids go into a gaseous state. And I didn't mean to turn this podcast this direction, but the point is, I always just put water in the iron because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And it made my green screen soaking wet, and it was a disaster. Here's why I bring this up. People, well, first of all, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that a grown woman doesn't know how to use an iron. I don't know. I haven't gotten to it yet. I do. It is something I want to learn.
We're still working on the whisk.
Oh, right. Oh. Okay. So my husband and Father Leo Padalinghug, who was visiting our house and he was cooking for us, they were giving me a hard time. And they were implying that I don't know much about cooking and that I am not familiar with the kitchen. So I started whipping up some brownies, granted from a box, but still, hey, I'm a woman who knows how to whip up some Betty Crocker brownies. They continued to make fun of me, these misguided men. And then in this video, I am stirring the brownies with, if you're listening on audio, I'm stirring the brownies with what you would normally use to break up. If you're stirring something that has little bits that need to be broken up, I'm stirring with what you would normally use for that. You YouTube viewers can see what I'm using here. Just listen to what I say.
He's never seen me use a spatula.
Wait a minute, that's not a spatula.
Look, so I called a whisk a spatula. Attention to detail has never been my strong suit. But I bring this up for a reason. I've talked before on this podcast about how we have got to disassociate motherhood and women being checked into motherhood and women being really into family life with the domestic work that comes with it. The reason I care about this is I have talked to many young women. I speak at some of these youth conferences. I've talked to many young women who say, yeah, I'm actively avoiding having kids. And I say, okay, well, why? And they'll tell me the sole reason is that they don't think they'd be good at the domestic stuff. They don't spell this out, but I think we all get confused about the difference between a whisk and a spatula. Who even knows? Like, what am I? I'm like a domestic rocket scientist. We can't know all of these kinds of details. I know the difference between a whisk and a spatula, but you can't come up with these like galaxy brain terms when you're just trying to entertain a guest. But the point is, these women are a lot like me. Maybe they also don't know how to use an iron and just find it like they're always, the water's always leaking out. But I thought, I don't know, I just thought that you always put water in an iron. Shady's trying not to laugh. Okay, look, the point is, my family is the best thing that ever happened to me. My kids are the best thing that ever happened to me. Being a mom is the best thing that ever happened to me. It's amazing and it's unbelievable. I used to be one of those women, though, who suspected that I would not be good at the domestic stuff, that I would not keep a tidy house, that I would not have, like the kids' clothes, like, oh, gotta get that ring around the collar out of that shirt, that I would be horrible at that. And I was exactly right. Having 6 kids has only shown me I don't know really anything about babies, not good with toddlers, not knowing what spatulas and whisks are, but that I'm still super checked into family life in my own way. And so, yes, it's true I don't know how to use an iron. Yeah, and then people say, well, what do you do for your clothes? Like, well, we just hang. If you hang them or run them through the dryer, you can get most of the wrinkles out. I mean, and then, okay, sometimes my mom will take over. If it's Easter, she'll be like, okay, I need to get involved here, and you can't be this much of a disaster. But for the most part, I hang them to dry, put them in the dryer, and that works. And I say that because we need to completely break the association between women being checked into family life and women being checked into knowing the difference between different kitchen apparati.
I agree.
I just wanted to say apparati today.
That's a good word.
I feel like we checked that box.
Apparati. Yeah, let me take it off my list.
I feel like it matters. Shady, before we wrap up, is there anything else?
We can't forget the Mixi Media announcement.
Mixi Media announcement. So this podcast is now being produced by Mixi Media, which is a company I am starting with your friend and mine, Hallie Lord. We're very excited about this. She's been working with some other people, and we decided to combine forces as we have in the past. Informally, we've combined forces. She helped me do my stand-up comedy tour, which was epic. I mean, we were booking theaters by I kid you not, we would Google rent theater in Columbus, Ohio, and we would just look at what locations look good, what got good Google reviews, and then we would cold call them and be like, "Can I rent your theater?" And the first few we did, we were like, "So how does that work? So do we give you a credit card?" And then we got ourselves in so over our heads because there's like 6 pages of stuff to fill out to get the ticketing set up. And then they're like, please send us your insurance form A and series B, and then your security, your security forms and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, well, we didn't know you had to do all that to do a tour, but we'd already announced that we were doing a tour, so we just had to do it. So the point is, and we also did the Adele Gathering, EDEL, not like the singer. We did the Adele Gathering conference. So we've worked together a lot in the past. We have decided to formalize it by doing Mixi Media. So she's helping me with production with all of my stuff. If we can ever leave our houses again, she will help me with my live events and that sort of thing. And she's also working with other people. It's very exciting. And I have no website or anything to give out. I mainly wanted to tell you all because what Hallie and I are essentially doing is we're betting on ourselves, and we are betting that we can do some really fun stuff for the work that I'm doing as well as for other people when we combine forces. So it'll be interesting. This is one of the crazier things we've done. Shady's doing, she's crossing her fingers.
Crossed.
Yeah, and hopefully that's not real trepidation there, that she hear I'll cross myself for our endeavors, but it will be a lot of fun. Also, I just now, like just a few minutes ago, I set up a number you can call so that Shady and I no longer have to make up people who are asking me questions for me to respond to. This is, I personally checked this. This is just like a Google voice number. You can leave a voicemail. That number is 512-222-3523. That's a pretty good number, right? Lots of twos.
Number, yeah.
512-222-3523. This is a permanent number. You can put it in your phone. And I want some weird calls, to be honest. Like, you should just put it in your phone. And if you just want to rant or just say something crazy or get something off your chest that is just insane and you want played on an insane podcast, leave me a voicemail there. I'm not asking for any specific topic.
Scat for all. Scat for all we care.
Can you scat? Yes. Call 512-222-3523 and please scat. That's what I want you to scat. On that note, thank you, Shady Ray, for producing. Thank you, Hallie Lord, for doing the behind-the-scenes work. We are having a lot of fun. This is a new era for the This Is Jen podcast. I'm having a blast with it. I cannot wait to continue. And I will be back soon here on This Is Jen.